I'm Anthony Elmore. I live in Memphis, Tennessee. I am best known in Memphis, Tennessee as the 5-time world karate kickboxing champion. It was in 1987 where we wrote, produced, directed, and starred in the first movie of anyone, black or white. We produced the first independent film called The Contemporary Gladiator.
But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
My family has been in Shelby County for 5 generations. We're raising the next generation right here. I was raised in Whitehaven by 2 teachers because I believe it's time we invest in education, in students, in the next generation.
The last thing that Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris did was invest in students in education. I'm Anthony Elmore, Memphis Black Memphis History Curator. What I will show you in this video is the hallmark of Memphis with black elected leaders. The hallmark of black elected leaders is white supremacy, racism, and black on black racism. What I have on today, you see I have on my orange, which I'm supporting history, culture, and education in Orange Mound, and to show you the inequities that we have in Memphis, whereas Memphis, at the time when Lee Harris became the Shelby County Mayor, Memphis was the poorest metro city in America. Let's learn more. What you see here, you see a picture of me and Tracy Soul meeting with Mayor Harris. This is in early January of 2019. Whereas our plan was to ask Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris to establish a trade, culture, and education relationship between Memphis and Africa. What you see here is a picture. This is Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris in March of 2019 at the Concourse Hall. He and Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland, they are launching a program called Bring Your Soul. Now, the program will Bring Your Soul. You see, in 2019, Memphis and Shelby County celebrated their 200 Bicentennial celebration, where they encourage citizens to bring their soul by involving themselves in showing the new era of Memphis. Now, in my case, me, Anthony Elmore, the first independent 35mm theatrical filmmaker in Memphis film history, what I decided to do with the Bring Your Soul, I decided that since Memphis did not have a Chronicled Black Memphis History, I engaged on the task of creating the first documented history of Memphis. In fact, I worked months creating a documentary film called 200 Years of Black Memphis History. What you see is black on black racism, whereas me, Anthony Elmore, created the first Black Memphis History documentary, a city that does not have a Chronicled Black Memphis History, a city that has a 63% African American population. However, there is no Black Memphis History Museum, or there was no Chronicled Black Memphis History. Lee Harris, look here. This brother is skinning and grinning, whereas the city of Memphis, combined with the state of Tennessee, gave $5 million for the failed Bluff City law.
When I built my studio, I built it in a neighborhood that is one of the poorest black neighborhoods in Atlanta, so the young black kids can see that a black man did that and they can do it too.
Let me tell you more about the black-on-black racism of Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris. In celebration of our 200th anniversary, we had African dignitaries to answer our call to come to Memphis to become part of our Bicentennial celebration. The celebration was headed by the Professor Peter Nungo, who once headed the African Academy of Sciences. Professor Nungo taught at Harvard University. Now, what happened was, when Lee Harris found that these African leaders were coming to Memphis, he wanted no association. He broke off contact with us, and he hid. We could not contact him because he did not want to be seen with African dignitaries. What happened was, we were stuck at the airport, and I called Congressman Cohen's office, said we got African dignitaries here, but the mayor has ducked out on us. And Congressman Cohen had his head of staff to come, and she came to the hotel, took a cell phone where Congressman Cohen, this was Marjorie Thomas, Congressman Cohen welcomed them because he was in a hearing against President Trump. He welcomed them to come to Memphis, and I called Bishop, we called one of the bishops of the Church of God in Christ, Jerry Ivory, to come and pick them up at the airport because they were stuck. Lee Harris was outright racist. Now, but let me tell you who he was racist against, or let me tell you the story. What happened was, we had the African dignitaries here, and we got in touch with State Representative Joe Towns. When Joe Towns found out these dignitaries are here, he went into action. He arranged for them to have a dinner at McEwen's restaurant. We went to McEwen's restaurant. We had some things lined up. He lined up places where they can go to, like the FedEx VIP visit. But Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris was nowhere to be found. Joe Towns arranged a meeting for the African dignitaries to go to St. Jude Hospital, and he told Mayor Lee Harris to get his butt over to that St. Jude Hospital, and Lee Harris took a picture. Otherwise, Lee Harris dished the African leaders. To add insult to injury, the Professor Peter Nungo is governor of the third largest city in Kenya called Kisumu, Kenya. Not only that, he is the father of Academy Award-winning star Lupita Nyong'o, who starred in the Black Panther movie. Can you believe it that Lee Harris, this is in the late October and the first 2 days in November, that Lee Harris dished the father of Black Panther star Lupita Nyong'o. Look at the June 23rd, 2020 forever lease that Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris signed with the Orange Mound Art Council. What is happening here is something that is suspect.
The Orange Mound community is growing. Today, Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris signed an agreement that allows the Orange Mound Arts Council to lease a building free of charge for the next 50 years.
Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris and the executive director of the Orange Mound Arts Council, Mary Mitchell, they signed an agreement today providing an art space to the community for several decades for free.
Did you hear that? Listen. That is the gorilla in the room. The gorilla in the room is the erasure of Black Memphis history. You see, in 1905, simply the Society of Motion Picture Television Engineers deemed the 35mm movie the industry standard, whereas a 35mm movie could be shown at any theater in the world. Now, it was in 29 when some scenes of the black musical Hallelujah was shot in Memphis. It was not until 1957 that Andy Griffith shot just a scene at the Peabody Hotel in a movie called A Face in the Crowd. It was not until 1984 where a 35mm film, where most of the film was shot in Memphis. It was shot at Rhodes College called Making the Grade. You see, 35mm film is the industry standard. It was right here in Orange Mound, in this very house, where some scenes were shot in this very room, whereas you can just Google the word The Contemporary Gladiator. It shows in the LA Times where we started filming the picture The Contemporary Gladiator. Now, what we did was we not only made Memphis film history, shooting the first independent 35mm theatrical film in Memphis film history, we created the first kickboxing film in world film history. Now, the gorilla in the room is Glenn Sittler, head of the Memphis Shelby County Film Commission, along with the white culture in Memphis. They could not stomach the fact that a black man, me, Anthony Elmore, wrote, produced, directed, and starred in the first independent 35mm film in Memphis film history. But see, even beyond that, you see, it was in 1981, whereas I brought ESPN to Memphis, where I promoted the first ESPN show in Memphis at the Cook Convention Center. This is in 1981. In 1982, I fought for the PKA World Heavyweight Champion, and I brought ESPN to Memphis again. Now, it was Mayor Ron Chandler who I worked with to produce this film, because we brought ESPN to Memphis. Now, let's move to 1983.
Elmore
In 1983, I met with the new mayor, Dick Hackett.
First, we got a situation here where Anthony Elmore is 30 years of age. His young challenger's only 22.
Us in Memphis. You see, I was a black man who made history. I brought ESPN.
First, we got a situation here where Anthony Elmore is 30 years of age.
I want you to look
His young
here.
challenger's
You
only
will
22.
see me in the ring fighting Tracy Thomas. But what is significant here is on the ring canvas, it says Memphis
His young challenger's only
America's
22.
Distribution Center. Whereas
8
me,
years
a
can
black
be,
man,
quite a bit of
I
difference.
was the first to bring ESPN to Memphis. Now, the problem was I was a black man, I was like Muhammad Ali, and the Memphis culture would not support a black man. See, Mayor Hackett says, let's put Memphis America's Distribution Center on the canvas, and local businesses could see you and they could see the exposure you bring to Memphis. Well, no one supported me. Now, in this very house, I want to show you a picture. This is a picture of me upstairs in my gym with the president of Adolph Coors Company, Peter Coors. He is the highest corporate executive to come to Orange Mound. Imagine this, me, Anthony Elmore, I'm the first kickboxer in world history to be sponsored by a major American corporation. This house is the first all-African house in American history, in that we created the first all-African house right here in Orange Mound. Now, back to the gorilla in the room. See, the gorilla in the room is that a black man who stands up for black history, black culture, black education, black inspiration, you are marginalized. Now, let's get back to Miss Mary Mitchell. You see, in October of 2017, see, the man behind the curtain, see, look here, the man behind the curtain is a man by the name of Don Gilbert. See, Don Gilbert was able to finagle and contact Shelby County Mayor, this is 2017, he contacted Mayor Mark Luttrell. And what they did was he was able to get Mary Mitchell an honorary title as Orange Mound historian. Now, it's nothing wrong with that, but what happens or what you must understand is that Don Gilbert is the man who actually runs the Orange Mound Arts Council. You see, the Orange Mound Arts Council is a story of a Jedi mind trick. So what happened was in 2017, when Mary Mitchell became the honorary historian, then anything about Orange Mound has to come through Mary Mitchell. So what Mary Mitchell does is that Mary Mitchell becomes the conservative voice. She's the voice of Orange Mound, and she used her position not to complain, but to show that everything was great and Orange Mound was great and there is no problem. See, this is a Jedi mind trick. You see, what they were able to do, you see, the elephant in the room, or the gorilla in the room rather, is the fact that we do not have Black Memphis history. You see, instead of teaching Black Memphis history, you see, what Lee Harris did, Lee Harris gave a building, and he gave the building to the Orange Mound Art Council, but if you would investigate, there is nothing significant that the Orange Mound Art Council did, but what they did was they created a hero in Mary Mitchell, whereas anything that happens in the community, Mary Mitchell can go and say everything is great, Orange Mound is great, we did everything great and everything is wonderful. See, this is the Jedi mind trick. What's important, Orange Mound is the first planned community in America built for blacks by blacks. However, what they are teaching, or what Miss Mary Mitchell espouses, is that she teaches the history that Orange Mound started with the John Dedrick plantation, whereas you're taught to be a slave. Whereas before there was ever an Orange Mound, before there was ever a city of Memphis, we had Afro-Indigenous people, or we had people of African descent that was already in Memphis. They were already in America. You see, when Christopher Columbus came to America, he saw people who looked like the natives of southern India, and he thought he was in India, and he called the people Indians. These were black people. So what happens is you have the Orange Mound Art Council that was put together by Don Gilbert. Don Gilbert is the man behind the curtain. He runs the Orange Mound Art Council. Miss Mary Mitchell, bless her soul, will be turning 89 years old when her birthday happens this upcoming August of 2025. Memphis newly elected mayor Paul Young was able to arrange for Miss Mary Mitchell to get a brand new house. Now, in 2020, when Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris turned over a lease to Mrs. Mary Mitchell, 84 years at the time, she was the executive director of the Orange Mound Art Council. Whereas, what was Mayor Lee Harris thinking to put a building in the name of an 84-year-old great-grandmother? I don't know what the case is. One thing that I do know is that I used to call Miss Mary Mitchell Mama Mary Mitchell because she had a son that passed away, and he and I would have been about the same age. So I would call her Mama Mary Mitchell. I want you to see here an advertisement that happened on February the 16th, 2022. Whereas me, Anthony Elmore, I wrote, produced, directed, and edited the most comprehensive story about Orange Mound. It was called Orange Mound, a Black Lecture, Critical Race Theory. Whereas on February the 16th, 2022 rather, I premiered the movie at the Marico Theater, and Miss Mary Mitchell was there at the theater. This is the most comprehensive story about Orange Mound's history. You can also find this film free of charge. Just Google the name, Anthony Elmore, just Google Orange Mound, a Black Lecture, Critical Race Theory, and you can see the most comprehensive story about Orange Mound that was ever written, because we believe in documenting Black Memphis history. Now, one of the things that should happen at the Orange Mound Community Center or the Orange Mound Arts Council, here we got young children. Young children should be taught how to hold a camera or how to shoot a camera instead of being able to shoot a gun. Whereas here I am, the first filmmaker and the first 35mm independent filmmaker in Memphis film history. I am the most knowledgeable filmmaker in Memphis history, that I made the first 35mm independent film. I have over 1,000 videos on YouTube. I'm a content creator, and we should teach young people how to make films, how to tell stories. We should take the elderly people, let them tell their stories before they leave about Orange Mound and even about Memphis, and let's catalog the history. Let us be fair and equitable. You see, one of the things that Ms. Mary Mitchell could not do, she could not admit that we made the first film in Memphis film history right here in Orange Mound. The Orange Mound's Art Council could not do that because it goes against what the city of Memphis does. Whereas Memphis Black history is not told, there's a culture and practice in Memphis to marginalize Black Memphis history. But anyway, we're going to close this event. What I'd like you to do, I would like you to see footage of our film that was premiered at the Marico Theater. Now, what we did was, not only did we premiere the movie at the Marico Theater, we posted the movie on YouTube free as a part of our Black Memphis History series. You see, when it comes to the Orange Mound Art Council, we must move into the digital world of digital technology, of film art, to where you will be able to share stories and share information and tell stories. This is the modern technology. You see, what our goal is, we want Memphis history to be told and accessible to everyone and anyone, and the only way you can do this is by moving into a digital platform. Let's close out. I want you to see this story of our movie. We premiered the movie during Black History Month in 2022. Again, it's called Orange Mound, a Black Lecture, Critical Race Theory. And thank you all for watching. And go and visit our website. It's called blackmemphishistory.com. I am Anthony Elmore, Memphis' first Black Memphis Curator. Thank you very much. Honey Bunch III, founding director of the National Museum of African American History and Culture, wrote, quote, "There is no more powerful force than a people steeped in their history, and there is no higher cause than honoring our struggle and ancestors by remembering." Join us Wednesday, July 16, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Radical Studio on the Square at Court Street in Midtown Memphis for the Anthony F. Elmore Black History movie, Orange Mound Black Lecture, Critical Race Theory. Learn the untold history of Orange Mound. Orange Mound suffers the worst white supremacy, racism, and black-on-black racism in Memphis history. The community of Orange Mound is associated with Elvis Presley, over 60 gold records, 3 gold medals, 1 world boxing title, 1 world kickboxing title, 1 Oscar, a nuclear physicist, 3 Super Bowl rings, America's top orthopedic spinal surgeon, Memphis' first independent feature film, NBA players. Orange Mound's Larry Finch brought the University of Memphis to the national spotlight, while in 2016, First Lady Michelle Obama named Orange Mound as a Preserve America community.
You do not wipe away the scars of centuries by saying now, you are free to go where you want and do as you desire and choose the leaders you please. You do not take a person who for years has been hobbled by chains and liberate him, bringing up to the starting line of a race, and then say, you are free to compete with all the others, and still justly believe that you have been completely fair.
Along with African American legislators, found over $200 million to invest in Liberty Park at the fairground. Predominantly white Memphis will continue to receive the economic benefits of Memphis tourism. While Orange Mound is a historic African American, Preserve American community, Memphis has not invested one dime to help transform the historic Black Orange Mound community into its potential of being a nationwide African American tourist attraction, whereas African Americans can also enjoy economic benefits. Will Lee Harris and Paul Young be fair to Black Memphis? Clearly, Memphis discriminates against Black history and Black filmmakers.